good morning, good afternoon, good lunchtime, good evening, good everything to the Questionable Album Club, the podcast where this beautiful panel of music fans, we attempt to blow the dust off some of rock's curios, failures, and generally perceived missteps. Before I introduce the panel today, we're going to, as we always do, we're going to read out the top 10 of all the albums that we do. We mark everything out of 100. Steve, you volunteered to read it, so I'm going to hold my phone up to the screen. Please excuse the lo-fi technology here. So these are our top 10 currently. Steve, here you go.
Number 10's Grinder Man 2. Number 9 is Slayer, God Hates Us All. Number 8 is Van Halen 3. God. Number 7 is a Marillion album, Clutching at Straws. Number 6 is the Rolling Stones, Their Satanic Majesty's Request. Number 5 is the usually excellent Captain Beefheart with the dreadful Blue Jeans and Moonbeams. Number 4 is the excellent Yes Drama. Number 3 is a Doors album. Number 2, I can't bring myself to say it. And number 1's Rick Wakeman, still with the Six Wives of Henry VIII.
Steve, you're very excused from like slurring and making mistakes because Steve has a newborn baby. Of course, how is little Nina doing? Is she doing all right?
So I can hear her now. Yeah, she's
Oh,
she's doing very well. Yeah,
excellent.
nothing wrong with
Glad to
her
hear.
lungs. Nothing wrong with her lungs. I can say.
Excellent, excellent.
I'm not.
So,
Yeah.
as well as Steve on the panel, we've got Marcus King. Hi, Marcus.
Hello.
We've got Ross English. Hi, Ross.
Good evening, everybody.
And we've got Steenie. Hello, Steenie.
Hello, good evening.
It was my choice. This time I chose the Boss. We haven't had any Boss before, and I think it's always quite fun to do major artists with. I was looking for a kind of weak link in his canon, and it's quite hard. I spoke to a sort of mate of mine called Rob. He's a massive Springsteen fan. And he kept suggesting this and that and this and that and the other. And I kind of partly wanted to do Born to Run or Born in the USA, one of the big ones, because spoiler alert, I don't really get the Boss, and I kind of wanted to, I just thought I want to get the Boss out of my system in this context. And I thought actually, in the end, I came up with Ton of Love from 1987, which is his follow-up to Born in the USA, which is the big pop rock studio massive thing that broke him worldwide and has turned him into a stadium act, which he's been ever since. And I suppose I thought Ton of Love, it came out to a kind of muted reception. It was a bit downbeat and synths and played a lot of stuff himself, a bit of a Nebraska-y sort of vibe. The reviews didn't seem to be all good, so it just seemed about kind of okay for us. I know it's not. I don't think I've kind of gone into Steve Hackett choosing the wrong album by mistake sort of territory, but I appreciate that perhaps there are objectively worse albums. But I thought I don't know. I don't know what we think now. Before I go on about this, Steve, when I mentioned this last week, very surprisingly, at the end of the last episode, you said that I wasn't expecting it. I asked the panel, as I always do, did anyone know this album? Everyone went, no. Apart from you, Steve, you don't strike me as a big Springsteen fan. But how come you know Tunnel of Love so well? Can you just
I'm not a Bruce Springsteen fan at all. I don't like any of the classic stuff. It sounds like an unentertaining version of Meatloaf for all the reasons we all know about. I'm not even a Meatloaf fan, so that's how far down I think about Springsteen. He's not really. I didn't mind Nebraska, but when the single "Tougher Than the Rest" came out, I liked this single, and I went to buy the single, and the single wasn't there, so I bought this album on cassette. And I played it, as one did in those days. If you spent your hard earned, you played it. And I was quite surprised that this would be the Boss one that was chosen. I was kind of, when you said the Boss, I thought it would be the next ones because he came out. There's that double thing that came out next, wasn't there? Am I right in thinking?
Yeah.
And I thought,
in touch.
And because I enjoyed Tunnel of, I'm giving stuff away because I enjoyed Tunnel of Love. I thought, oh, maybe I do quite like the Boss, and then I listened to that and thought it was a complete load of shit. The next one, so there you go. It's a blip, and I can't explain it.
Well, I'm really pleased to have touched upon your weird blip. Lovely. Ross, you strike me as very much someone who's got fucking 700 Bruce Springsteen albums, and you've probably got Bruce tattooed somewhere about your person.
Do you leave my person out of this? Yeah, I do I like Springsteen. No,
yeah.
I own quite a few of his albums. I've seen him live a few times. As a live act, he's great, and I know the E Street Band aren't particularly on this, but as a band, they're as tight as anything. The box set of 75 to 85, the live recordings, I think that's up there with as good a live recordings there are. And I think as a songwriter, he's fantastic. I mean, I think he's the place for me where rock and folk meet, much more than what people would call folk rock. His music has this AOR rock sensibility, but his lyrically, particularly the early albums, it's more akin to Woody Guthrie. in terms of, it's pretty genuine. It's a bloke from a working class background singing about working class lives, and there's nothing fake about it. It's not a dilettante trying to be a working class hero, And those early ones, I think, they speak in a way of just of stuff happening in a way that many artists try to do but don't. But this album's interesting because if you look at my Springsteen collection, I pretty much have all of the early ones. I think I'm missing the Wild Innocent and the East Street Shuffle, but I stop at this. And I also bought this on tape, and I have that tape somewhere around it. And it was the one that really sort of, it was the one I didn't get. And then I with you, Steve, on the ones after that, the next two, I really didn't get. And while I do own Springsteen stuff later on, it was the point where it broke for me. I mean, clearly I wasn't buying all these at the time because, going back to like 74, but I was going back. And so this has been interesting to go back to the album, which sort of, broke the spell for me and to see if it's aged well.
Interesting. I wonder if the spell was reignited, perhaps, Ross, by this. Marcus, I don't know. I don't know. I'm looking at you. I'm not quite sure. I don't know. It could go either way. Oh dear.
I don't like the boss at all. No. The whole thing, the razzmatazz, the kind of idolization of him, the massive showmanship. It's just too much, too thick, laid on over the top. And one thing that I remember sticks in my mind, there used to be this TV show called Entertainment USA, presented by Jonathan King, who was a pop star, then a DJ, and then and he said there are rock fans out there who think Bruce Springsteen is great, and there are rock fans who think that Bruce Springsteen is God. At which point I'm thinking, I thought I was a rock fan, but I'm not fitting into either of these categories. Quite actually, with hindsight, quite pleased not to be fitting into a category that Jonathan King has announced on BBC Two. So no, not my sort of thing at all. And just my little preamble before we get into the meat of this was I actually, for some reason, started listening to the wrong album. I had The River, and I put on The River a couple of times, and I was like, oh my God, it's everything I hate about Bruce Springsteen. Like the ridiculously over-the-top production. Specifically, actually, the piano and the vocal are nearly the same, like all the way through. And it's just too many instruments going on, this wall of sound thing. It was all too bright. Everything about it was totally irritating. So it was listening to, which was the first Springsteen album I've actually listened to before. I've only ever heard the singles and the kind of TV clips and that sort of thing. So it reinforced everything I thought about Springsteen.
So Marcus, thank you for your interesting words about Springsteen fans. And that you listened to the wrong album and hated it anyway. So I'm really looking forward to you listening to this album, because The River is one of his kind of all-time untouchable classics. And this one isn't. So Marcus, hold these thoughts. I'm loving your work, mate. Steenie, you strike me like Ross. I reckon you're a big boss man.
I am, yeah, I am a Springsteen fan. I think Jonathan King was wrong when he said that.
No, careful what you say here, Steenie.
No, I think he was wrong when he said that there are rock fans who think Springsteen's great, and that there was no rock fans who didn't like Springsteen, because I think he's divisive. I think he is one of those people that you either buy big into the boss or you don't. And I once had a Springsteen set completely ruined because I watched it with someone who wasn't enjoying it at all and took every opportunity to tell me how much they weren't enjoying it, and just wrecked the entire experience for me. But yeah, I grew up in a house where Springsteen got played quite a lot. And especially around about the time that Born in the USA came out, I was just starting to really develop my taste in music at that point when that record hit, and it hit big. It was huge. And it was in our house. My dad bought it on CD and played it a lot. So I know that record inside out. So when you said last week or a couple of weeks back, I thought about doing Born in the USA, I don't think I would have been very qualified to listen to that with fresh ears, because I know that inside out. But then exactly the same as with Ross, I just stopped at level. I mean, I stopped to the point where I haven't really ever listened to it, which is very odd because I do have all the albums before that one, up to Tunnel of Love, and then after it's the same. I'm less interested in the later stuff. There's odd songs that jump out that have been really good. Um, but I think a lot of the criticism that gets leveled at Springsteen is that, oh, he's really, he's cliched and overblown cliched. And I always think, well, that a lot of the things that Bruce Springsteen gets accused of being cliched for are things that are only cliches because Bruce Springsteen did them a lot,
Such a
and
good call.
and they became a cliche because he's being Bruce Springsteen. So it's
But should not an artist move on, wear a different color shirt,
some
play a
sometimes
different guitar?
sometimes yes, sometimes no. I mean, I never really wanted to hear the Ramones do a prog album,
Oh,
and it's
classic case in point. The Ramones. That's why they were commercially unsuccessful, right? Because they just released the same album again and again and again. And everyone just got
yeah.
really, really
I
bored.
still
Ultimately,
I bought them all. I've bought them all and all the AC/DC albums. But yeah, I think and also I one thing I do like about the boss is that sort of well, that's just that unswerving kind of like steadfast vision that he has. He doesn't change. He's that guy that he was in 1973, and he's still pretty much the same guy. If you read an interview with him then and read an interview with him now, his political beliefs are the same, and if not stronger now than they were then. And he's one of those people who just strikes me as a very, very decent man, and I've always sort of warmed to that. I think he's a principled person, and I think he probably is as normal as he makes out because everybody says so. There's not much evidence to the contrary that he's somehow some secret egomaniac, maniacal prick. I think he is the man that he paints. So yeah,
Steve, I
I'm a
agree.
fan.
Steve, absolutely. I think we all agree that he's a decent man with decent morals and decent, decent everything. A good man, a force for good. People love him, and he's spreading the good. He's not, but again, a little bit like AC/DC. How many times does he need to remake the same album over and over again? And is there not a quality control issue, Steve Gibson?
Well, I don't. Does he need it? I think he's one of those artists. I'm surprised at the fever of his hardcore fans. And even when faced with 200 quid tickets or whatever he charged the last time he toured, let's not forget that while everybody's saying what a lovely decent zillionaire he is. Um, but we're here to talk about Tunnel of Love. I like this album. I don't like the first song. I love Tougher Than the Rest. I thought it was a great single. It's sort of it's Bruce being a bit cheesy, but he seems to do it just the right side of cheese for me when I'm in the mood. Really enjoyed having it on my way to work this week. Yeah, and I can't really explain it. It's not the sort of thing I would normally like or go for, but there's just something about this album that I like, and I think if I'm in a sentimental mood, then which isn't very often, then this is one that does go on. So.
Steve, I think it's funny what you said about tougher than the rest. It's like one thing, because I what Steenie said about you either get Bruce or you don't, and I sort of genuinely don't. But I like the first record. I think there's a lovely fresh naivety to it and a bit of a joy to it. I like Nebraska. I like Atlantic City and State Trooper. I like it's because it sounds a bit like I like bits here and there. I can sort of take it or leave it, but I hear that the kind of the standard Bruce. Let's press the Bruce button is what I hear the vast majority of the time when I see a stadium and with the E Street Band all there and everyone's sweating and everyone's like, I just think, oh, it's
Yeah, but
kind of
I mean, this album, unlike in the context of the Question Album Club, I just thought that he's written the tunes are decent, if not a bit cheesy. Nothing, and crucially, I was listening today thinking nothing really outstays it. I don't like the first track, but nothing outstays its welcome. So many albums we have to listen to on this. You're thinking, Jesus Christ, you know. You've made your point 5 minutes ago, and you're still droning on.
yeah.
But this album, nothing seems to outstay its welcome. So,
So
and also, it's all when it was recorded, I'm not getting that kind of huge 80s production vibe from it, which I think is another positive for him. So
I think I disagree. I think it's 12 songs, which is quite a lot for 1987, and I think I think there are three for me as someone who can appreciate Bruce Springsteen, who doesn't hate him, but I get bored with his shtick. I think Tougher Than the Rest, Ton of Love, and Brilliant Disguise are really, really, really good songs. But I think there's an awful lot of filler. I think this song, this album, I think there's a, it doesn't. None of the songs are like 8 minutes long, right? But I think there's an awful lot of. I think you could just get rid of at least half of this, and no one would care. Anyway, Ross.
Game of two halves, I think this album. I think the first half is a bit all over the place. I think it's got some good stuff on it. I particularly like Walk Like a Man. I don't mind the first. I don't mind the first song at all. Although he is that harumph thing at the beginning. I did imagine people who don't like Bruce Springsteen really at that moment burying their head in their hands. The production was a bit odd in that there were these sort of a couple of tracks. You know, our favourite thing, almost our patron saint of this podcast, St. Gated of Drums, pops up, but not on other tracks. It's like the production just seemed to be a bit of sort of like we've got to throw in a bit of the 80s stuff here and there. And I just thought that it was the first side of this album is a bit all over the place. But then the second side, what a great album that is. If this was an EP and it was just those last 6 tracks, starting with Tunnel of Love and going on, I thought that was just wall to wall, just top quality songs. And the thing I like about this album is it can talk about Bruce doing the same thing all the time, because looking back, this was a really almost interesting moment, because most of his shtick before that was about blue collar man singing about blue collar mostly men. And here he's suddenly become a billionaire. He's moved out to Los Angeles. Is he going to try and keep on doing that? And although there's a couple of sorry,
it's about the failure of his marriage. Right?
Exactly.
That's one thing we haven't mentioned. It's a concept album about how he fucked up his marriage.
Exactly. And although with most of the concept albums we do on this, there's always 1 or 2 tracks that clearly come from a different universe. But the whole second side, it's beautifully written. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's not like, oh, my marriage has gone wrong, therefore I've got to find my way out of it. It's all about this push and pull of, I want this to work, I want you, but I don't want you, and it's going wrong. I don't want it to go wrong, but it's going to. And it's the sort of almost, anyone who's been in a relationship that's sort of heading south, that's how it is. And so I thought, the second side was exceptional, and I'm so pleased because I remembered this as being a bit of a turkey. And I don't think it was. It's certainly not perfect, certainly not the best thing he's ever done, but I very much enjoyed one side, and I thought the other side was okay.
Thank you. I didn't enjoy listening to this record at all, and I thought, oh fucking, I might as well just listen to it. I might as well read the lyrics because I'm not usually a lyric guy. And as soon as I read the lyrics while listening to it, I thought, oh, actually, he's trying to say something. So I felt a little bit more sympathetic towards him. Marcus, how sympathetic do you feel towards Bruce's marriage ending with his?
Well, I didn't actually. I wasn't aware of that till you said it. I didn't do the read up on Wikipedia and the rest of it because I adore this album. I absolutely adore this album. I thought it was amazing. Total revelation for me, start to finish. No bad tracks. Played it more than I've done any other Questionable Album Club things in this entire season. It's going to come out with a massive great score from me. Just a winner. I think it probably was. It's probably benefiting from having listened to The River, which I just thought was so bloody awful. And it's sort of opposite to that. And I'm now getting The Boss in this context because I guess maybe it's the E Street Band that annoys me. That might be the thing.
I agree.
All this music going on. There's this, and I know they're all good and geniuses and the rest of it, but it's just everyone's clattering away at the same time, and it's just this big clattering sound. And you're right, it's the sweat and that whole thing. Everyone's up to the mics, aren't they? They've got their bandanas and all. It's just like
it's maximalist music all the time.
It's all the time. It's like it's just back off, and this one does back off. We've got drum patterns that are just sort of the same all the way through, just to sort of settled in the groove, which is lovely. His voice is much richer here. It's more soulful, more expressive. Yes, there were a couple of bits that indicated the time in the late 80s. There was a couple of analog synthy bits, and there was a very weird sort of electronic drum intro to, I think it's Tunnel of Love itself, actually.
Yeah.
A few bars of this very, very odd thing. But, I'm prepared to forgive that because the whole thing just for me was washing over as this beautiful Americana country rock thing, soft, gentle. I'm looking forward now to listen to it again with the lyrics and really finding the meaning behind it. So no sarcasm, no jagged points from me on this one. Unusually, it was just a loving.
Marcus, it's loving your work, mate. Loving your work. That was
Who'd have thought?
extremely unexpected, especially after your first, polemic. Enjoyed
Yeah.
enjoying so much. You've really let me down here, Marcus. Steenie, come on, mate.
Well, I don't know that
Have you got
how
your
I
tape? Have
can
you got your
follow
tape?
that.
Have you got
Hmm?
your tape?
Oh, it's not me. I haven't got the tape.
You haven't got the tape. Oh, sorry.
Ross has got the
It's
tape.
those two. I've got
Me
the tape.
and Ross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Um, I,
Sorry.
I I don't know how I can follow that from Marcus. That was quite the revelation. I was entirely unexpected. Um, yeah, I really like this album. I think it's got um an understatedness that falls between Nebraska, which is his most stark, and Spartan and genuinely understated um stuff, and then it falls between that and some of his more than the overblown stuff that we've been talking about, and I just think it's a really good midpoint, and I quite like the sort of time capsule feel of it, where the production is quite 80s, but there's lots of like it in some ways it's like an 80s reimagining of like late 50s early 60s pop, where there's a lot of the songwriting reminds me the structures and some of the uses of reverb and little tropes that fit in, and it's all stuff that's influenced him all through his career, the doo-wop sort of stuff that he likes, and some of the country sort of thing. So it starts off with a hollering sort of track, "Ain't Got You" at the start. It's quite it retains that rootsiness, and yeah, but with a sort of modern twist. It's from a modern for 1987 twist. And yeah, I think loads of little bits in it got me, like in terms of just things come just at the right time to grab your ear. It's very clever production wise. There's little bits that come in where, like, there's that I can't remember which song it's in. There's like a synthy and a fuzzy guitar that are basically playing the same line in a solo, and then it goes into like a Vox Farfisa kind of organ solo, and it's just sort of things to keep the ear going. But yeah, lyrically, I think it's really good. Um, what I like about the placement of the first track, "Ain't Got You," even though we've been saying I don't really like it, I think lyrically that is like quite good because it kind of sets the stall for where he is in his life at that point. He's saying, "I've got all these things. I'm massive. I'm playing all these stadiums. I've got the keys to the kingdom, but my actual personal life has gone completely to the wall." And I think that,
See, what's funny about that song, right? I was talking to my mate Rob this morning, this big Springsteen fan. I told him we are doing this on the pod, and he said that he was a massive Springsteen fan at the time. And he said, and apparently Radio One, they were so keen because of the success of Born in the USA. They were so desperate to they got a copy of the record shipped over, literally couriered over to the Radio One offices, and it was Mike Reed, I think it was, and he said, right, no one's ever heard this before. They put it on. They said, right, we're going to have a live play along, and they put the first song on, and it was "Ain't Got You," and apparently the whole audience were like, they were expecting, dancing in the dark, and it was just kind of like, and it was like this awful kind of so anyway, I hope the rest is going to be really great, and it was all quite downbeat stuff. And Rob said it was just super awkward the whole day. It just sounds hilarious.
that's it. But then you're following that with "Tougher Than the Rest." And what I really love about "Tougher Than the Rest" as a song, Um, weirdly, that gets slagged off. I think it was Robert Christgau. I mean, I wouldn't trust a lot of the stuff he says, but he said that was the sort of cornball song on the album I think in his write-up. Um, but I think it's a really good song. What I really like about it is that it's so restrained, because some of the lyrics on it could easily be couched in a much more aggressive sort of river kind of song, that kind of punchy E Street setting. And you can imagine them making a big meal of it, and it had actually come out as a bit more like chest beating, but he sings it kind of with this sort of vulnerable, slightly world weary feel to it, which I think is just great because it's, he might be tougher than the rest, but at the same time, is he just saying that to himself? Because he doesn't sound particularly tough in that song. He sounds like he's had it. And
Did anyone else watch the video to that?
I haven't, no.
No, because it's really interesting because it's taken from the Theatre of Pain. What is it? The Tunnel of Love video tour, and the video is him and the other guitar player and singer in the E Street Band, and they're kind of duetting it, and And I was wondering, it's very intense. It's Bruce. They're live. It's live, right? But it's like multi-camera. It's a very expensive '80s thing. And you sort of think they look at each other while they're singing these lines, very intense lines. I thought, oh, that's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. And just before we did this, I just googled it, and that's who he went on to marry, or whatever her name is.
Oh,
Patty. Yeah.
That's right, exactly. And he was still married to the woman that he was still. Well, this is all about. So it's all a little bit, rock stars, eh?
And
Right, Steve. Well, let's do summings up and scores, Mr. Gibson.
on mute.
Yeah, one little. Sorry, I'm sparing you all. My daughter's dirty protest screams. But one little point about Bruce, is that I've had it before on here, about folk music, and over the last like 10 years at Cambridge Folk Festival, someone will always get up and do Dancing in the Dark, and it works as a folk song. So it's one of those things that's a bit like the AC/DC thing on the part. It's seeping in. It's the true, it's the people's music is kind of seeping in. But anyway, scores on the doors. It's an 80 from me, and Tougher Than the Rest is my favourite song.
80.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, Ross.
I think the second side is flawless. I think the first side has some issues, but some good points. So I'm going to give it a 66. And I like particularly Valentine's Day.
I quite like Valentine's Day. Tougher. Marcus.
A totally unexpected gem. He's got a new fan.
Yeah.
95. My highest ever score on this programme.
95?
95.
Out of 100.
And I'm going for Tougher Than the Rest as well.
So Marcus, right? All That Heaven Will Allow, that really, really cheesy, awful song that comes after Tougher Than the Rest. You're prepared to say that.
I know what you're doing here, Seb. You've picked an album which is great, and it's meant to be a questionable album club, and you've been backtracking the whole way. Well, not backtracking, you're trying to sort of justify yourself by picking holes here and there. But really, you picked the wrong album, and you're just trying to justify it.
I've written 95 down, Marcus. Just mute yourself, please. Steenie.
Yeah, I think it's just a really great album. I love it. I love the kind of restraint that's on display in it. I love the fact that the production, as I've said, I think it's really intimate, and I think all the themes that he touches on are very really relevant. He does it pretty with a degree of subtlety, I think. So I'm going to give it 81, and I am going to say that it's between. I really like Brilliant Disguise, actually, because I can imagine Roy Orbison singing that. It's got timpanis on it and everything, but I will probably have to say Tunnel of Love, the title track, because it's just a really cool song.
Okay, and I'm going to give it, because I think there are 3 good songs in it and an awful lot of filler. It's better than I thought it would be. I'm going to give it 36. But I think this is still going to be number 1. I had absolutely...
Song, Seb.
What?
Song.
Oh, sorry, Toughen the Rest.
So that's for the playlist. Mention the playlist.
Oh yeah, sorry, Steve. While I'm doing my calculator stuff with my calculator, why don't you mention the playlist and where people can find the playlist?
If you go on to Spotify and put in the Questionable Album Club, you will get a playlist of all the favourite songs from all the albums we've reviewed. And if you actually listen to it all the way through with proof, you win a prize.
Has anyone claimed the prize yet?
If you video yourself listening to every song with a copy of the day's paper there, then
we've given so many prizes away, Steenie. Honestly, you would believe it's a massive playlist. Right, this gets 71.6, which I have a horrible feeling. We've got a new number 1, fellas. We got a new number.
Whoa, there you go.
Rick Lakeman eat your heart out.
Momentous day.
That will fucking teach me. Jesus Christ! I thought I had a feeling it might sneak top 10, but number 1. Oh,
I'm surprised at number 1, but there you go.
71.6. It's yeah. So this pushes Rick. Well, Rick Wakeman's had quite a
long stint.
Yeah.
Well, blimey. Well, congratulations to Bruce Springsteen. He's the boss yet again. He's the boss of the Question Album Club. Anyway, Marcus, it's your turn next. What you gonna? Do you think you can get even higher than 95 out of
No,
that?
bring things back to the usual Kingwell level here.
Yeah, we're all expecting you.
Don't be too afraid. This record, I saw my next door neighbour in the 70s when I was a kid. He had a fantastic record collection and would host these brilliant parties. All the grown-ups would go, all the kids would go, and I'd be flicking through his collection, and there was Hawkwind and Pink Floyd and Queen and Crosby, Stills and Nash, just loads of early 70s, great stuff. And there was one there that I never got played, but was always intrigued by the cover. And that's what I've picked for today. It's called The Butterfly Ball and the Grasshopper's Feast. It's nominally by Roger Glover, Deep Purple's bass player, and it has a real hodgepodge of musicians on it. I've never heard it. It's a curiosity. It's a time when rock stars were dabbling in other things. They were playing with orchestras, and they were where do we push rock music next? And there was all this sort of crossover into rock opera and whatever. And here's this thing that sort of it's kind of hit a dead end, I suppose. It doesn't really live on in folklore to any great extent, as far as I'm aware. It may have its fans. I don't really know. I don't think Roger Glover ever did another album on his own. He was a producer, pretty successful producer, but I think this is his only self-titled or led album. That's my choice for next time's Questionable Album Club.
Fantastic, Marcus. What a brilliant suggestion. We haven't had anything Deep Purple related, so I don't know it at all. Steely, you laughed. I bet you've got it on vinyl or tape.
I haven't got it. It's one of those ones that I keep seeing and thinking, dare I buy that? Dare I? It's got Dio on it, hasn't it? I think isn't that the album that basically introduced Dio to Blackmore via Roger Glover? Is that its placing in history? I think it might be. The seeds of Rainbow might have been sown with that record, I think.
Wow. Ross, you're looking very excited.
I once owned a Deep Purple best of.
All right.
That's Deepest Purple, I do believe it was called.
What a treat.
But that's the extent of my knowledge.
Well, that's Marcus, brilliant. Good job. Good work. Good work. Apart from your scoring, obviously. Thanks, everyone. That was really fun. Thank you. Actually, not. I can only apologise to everybody for choosing this album. But thanks everyone for listening. Please subscribe and share with your friends, and please tell people about us because we want to spread this thing that we do as far and wide as we can. Thank you, Steenie.
Oh, cheers.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Steve and Nina.
Thank you.
Cheers, Marcus. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, everybody. Good night, and God bless.